Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp for what may well be our final video of the year. Certainly penultimate if not. And for this one we're doing something a little bit different. Those of you that use the Nintendo online apps and whatnot may have noticed that you can log into Nintendo.com at the moment and they'll show you your year in review. They'll go through some details of your account in terms of games you've played the most, hours put into certain games, etc. So we thought it might be fun just to talk through some of our stats.
Absolutely, and also we'll pop the link to it in the description so you can click it and have a look and see what you've played the most of. Now Nintendo themselves have actually approached us and given us a bunch of game codes to give away, which actually includes some of the best games that they've released this year.
Absolutely, to be in with a chance of winning one of these codes, all you need to do is basically what we just said, just stick some of your stats down below, tell us about the games you've played most as per that app, and we will pick a couple of comments at random. And yeah, you can win yourself a game.
Lovely stuff. All right, let's have a little look at our stats for the year with this year in review. What have we been playing? Well, let's find out.
Let's start then with our first played game of the year. So the first game that we played in 2024, mine was on the 1st of January and it was Rising Hell. Which, I don't know if you remember this one. I'm fairly sure you've played it. It's a roguelite, but you go vertically as opposed to horizontally. It's like an action-based roguelite where you're going up through the gates of hell or through the levels of hell, taking on a host of enemies, and every so often getting to a point where you gain a new weapon. Very standard fare in terms of how it works, but it's actually a very good game, quite addictive.
Yeah, I don't remember this at all. I can remember the artwork, but not the game.
Yeah, it's worth playing. I think it's relatively cheap as well. I think it's about £9, give or take.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, that's cool. Well, my first one was Tevi, which we chatted about I think it was in the subscribers best of the year.
It was. I think it was their 10th.
And I can't remember, because it's so long ago, I'm like, man. I spoke a little bit about it. It's like a bullet hell Metroidvania,
right?
Where you've got this little chibi character. Very good game actually, and it probably has a physical as well, I'm sure. Maybe in maybe on PlayAsia.
Right, maybe. Yeah.
Something like that. But it's been a while since I played it, but I do remember it being very good and also instantly overlooked by everyone because it came out in January.
January, yeah, it's a pretty bad month and it's released.
Terrible.
The next category, we're going to look at is our most played month. So obviously the month in which we played the most hours or put in the most hours. Mine was July, which I think works out actually. Well, two reasons actually, looking at the games that I played and the one that was at the top. One was a review, and I suppose the fact that end of July you're looking at holiday time, kids are off and stuff. But mine was Turtles Splintered Fate.
Nice.
So obviously that was when the review came out July time, and like I say, I must have played a bit of it away. But another game I played that I'll talk about a bit more because we've done Turtles to death by now is Dread Out 2.
I can't remember that. What was that one?
That's a horror or survival horror game. I think it's from the Philippines in terms of the dev team. Very flawed, very rough around the edges, but quite enjoyable at the same time. Does some interesting things with the typical survivor horror, kind of formula, where you have a camera and you have to take pictures of ghosts, a bit like Project Zero, that sort of thing. But it does some other bits as well. And I liked the world. Obviously, it's set in the Philippines.
Okay.
If it was the Philippines, apologies if not. But it's such an interesting game world. It's not open world by any stretch, but there's bits that you explore, and it's just a completely different environment to where you normally set games.
So what's the storyline of it? Do you remember?
Vaguely, it was a sequel. Obviously, it's Dread Out 2, but and it took on from the first game, which I hadn't played. But you're basically this young girl, this schoolgirl, and spirits and whatnot start to kind of invade her homeland and her village and whatnot. And using the camera, you can see them and what have you. The story kind of passed me by, but it did do some interesting bits. I mentioned in a video we did actually that there's this bit where you're waiting in a hospital, waiting for your number, on the screen. Yeah. Like you do when you go for a blood test or whatnot. And you kind of fall asleep as it's happening, and then when you wake up, all sorts of things are going on. Reminded me of like Nightmare on Elm Street. Very creepy. Quite good storytelling,
I haven't seen that, so I don't know.
No.
Good stuff. All right, well, my the busiest month I actually had was March, where I played 36 games.
Wow, okay.
So more than one a day. I don't know how that happened. And I played for 186 hours.
Jeez.
I put 45 hours into Kingdom Come Deliverance, but I'm not going to talk about that again because I'm bored of talking about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was talking about May, where I put 21 hours into Little Kitty Big City.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I really did enjoy that game. But actually, I don't want to talk about that either.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I do want to talk about, June, where I played for 90 hours.
Yeah, cool, okay.
And put 26 hours into Star Wars Hunters.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's the one we've not spoken about
Yeah.
at all, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think we've spoken about that in a long time.
Yeah.
Now, as people may or may not know, Star Wars Hunters is like a team-based, and again, this could have potentially made our list, one of our choices.
Yeah.
It's like a team-based, I don't know what there is a name for them, but I forget it. You basically have loads of different classes, you're fighting against these two teams. There's different game modes as well. It's not like a brawler, what is it? Like a shooter, I guess.
It's a team-based shooter.
It's a team-based shooter.
We played this one, didn't we?
Yeah.
I played this with you, yeah.
Yeah, so we played a bit of this online, and it's completely free, which instantly scares me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh no, here we go. This is gonna just be like absolute gubbins. But it isn't. Like, in terms of what you get rewarded with a lot of characters, you unlock them quickly, the combat was quality, but obviously, yeah, it does, it's from Zynga. Is it Zynga? The mobile games people, and I think that's its biggest weakness, honestly, because like, it has that kind of like slot machine look to it, you know?
Yeah.
The one that you hate.
Yeah. But I did enjoy this game.
But it is a fun game,
Yeah, it was fun, yeah. Next then we're going to look at the game that we've played over the most months, if that makes sense. So a game that obviously has stayed in your Switch physically, or I don't know how you describe that digitally, to be honest. But mine was actually one that I played with my wife, and that was Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express.
Well, I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't actually. I was quite surprised. I forgot when I played it, but it's a decent game. It's one of those, you know, murder mystery where you're walking around talking to the other characters, interrogating them, looking for clues at murder scenes and what have you. And we played that one over around about the summertime. Obviously played a bit each night over the course of a couple of months. And it's a game from Microids, actually, that we've spoken about a few times. They're a French publisher, but they do a lot of IPs and, you know, like semi-obscure stuff, a lot of European IPs and what have you. But I do like them because of that, you know, they pick a few raw gems every so often.
Yeah, they do all the things that we kind of grew up with, don't they?
Yeah, they do, that's right.
And some nice physical copies as well.
Yeah,
like that one right there.
Like the one that you got me for Christmas, which was a Little Big Adventure, which I've never played. It's a nice little physical, that. It's got a lenticular sleeve. Yeah.
I think I know what that means.
Looking forward to playing that.
Looks like a hologram.
It does, exactly right. Yeah, but no, Orient Express was a good game. I enjoyed it. They fleshed out the novel, so it ends in a similar way. If anyone's read the novel or seen any sort of, you know, film or whatever that's been made from it, but they did add some side stories, which I felt were fine. Padded it out a little bit too much, to be perfectly honest. But decent game.
Nice. All right. Well, we won't like go into detail on my one because it was Monster Hunter Rise,
which we've spoken about.
So much it would just be boring. So what I will do instead is kind of highlight one of the games that I don't think has had much love on the channel really, and it was also my most played in August and didn't even get a review. And it's Cat Quest 3.
Oh yeah.
And again, we played this, didn't we?
We did play a bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a great. What is it called when it's the third one? Is it a sequel?
That's trilogy by then, isn't it?
Right. So it's a trequel.
Treacle, yeah. Right, treacle.
All right, treacle. Yeah, well, whatever it is, it's the third one, and it's definitely the best one by a long way. We should finish this.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. Yeah, it's like an ARPG, isn't it?
It is. It's a really fast ARPG, quite challenging, like some quite brutal fights.
It was, like, considering the cutesy art style.
You wouldn't expect it.
No,
would
you don't. Exactly right.
And I just, I feel like it's really gone under, not even under the radar. It's gone under the appreciation radar.
Yeah.
You know, like it got a few mentions and then that was it. But I easily think it's my favourite. I love the pirate theme. I love like getting your little ship and sailing around to the different islands. And there's also quite a few like hidden bosses and stuff. Like there's this massive duck that goes around, and if you try and fight it, you just get wrecked until later in the game. But yeah, I really enjoyed that actually. What about you? Is there one in your list that you kind of, might not be the most hours, but it's just a game that you kind of appreciated?
Yeah, another one I could mention, because I played it over consecutive months, much like the Orient Express, was Deathmark 2.
Okay, is that a visual novel?
Yeah, Spirit Hunter is called, Deathmark 2. So I'd played the first one, and I enjoyed this one. Again, I don't think I liked it quite as much as the first one, but I love the premise of these games. So they're set around the idea of like spirits that have stayed on the earth owing to a grudge.
Right.
You know, they died in a horrible way, and there's that anger and resentment, which means they stay in the living world. It's set around a school where the idea is that every day, or you know, every week, whatever, a letter is being left on the notice board, the school notice board, almost like calling out a student, like they're going to be killed.
Wow.
By a spirit, you know, this resentful spirit, and then you get called in as the protagonist from the first game to try and solve the mystery and obviously save the students. I can't say much more than that without spoiling bits, really, but it's just one of those, again, yeah, where else would you ever really talk about it outside of an interesting games video, perhaps? But I did enjoy it. If you've played the first one, or you just like horror-based visual novels, it's definitely one to consider.
Lovely. All right, here's a question for you. What is your most disappointing release of the year? I'll start us off.
Yeah, all right.
Mine is that ridiculous Harry Potter Quidditch Academy.
Oh yeah, that was pretty shocking, wasn't it?
And it's not just because it was bad performance. I think for something like an IP as big as that, you would just expect better things.
Yes.
And it, like, not only was it broken, it was just weak.
Yeah.
You know, I just was like, man, this is pretty damn miserable. The actual like sport itself that they'd built was reasonably okay, but the whole package of it was just weak. You know, you have these tournaments that don't really make much sense and stuff, and then obviously the fact that the whole game almost exploded. So yeah, I think for me that was probably my biggest disappointment.
I don't have a massive disappointment. I mean, the game that I probably enjoyed the least, but I wasn't expecting much from it, was a game called Mars 2120.
Okay.
Which was a Metroidvania that I reviewed. It got in the 50s, scored in the 50s. It was okay.
Yeah.
You know, it had a fair few flaws. It did some bits all right. You know, the 50-odd% says it all. It's very mediocre. It was one of those that if I hadn't been playing it for a review, I would have stopped playing it far quicker than I did. So that's probably the one that, in terms of my time, I suppose, I felt like it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
But not a bad year, actually. Looking through a lot of the games I've played, there's none there where I'm really like, that was a shocker, you know?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, same here. I'm scrolling through just thinking, man, some absolute bangers in here, to be honest.
Exactly. Let's talk about our most played, or again, it doesn't have to be most played, but maybe a co-op game that you want to highlight, one that you want to give some love to.
Okay. What was the one I was just looking at? Cold Canyon. Do you remember that one?
I do, yeah. We played the quite a lot, actually, didn't we?
Yeah.
There was a period of time where this was our go-to multiplayer game.
Yeah, it was one of those where we kept hitting the last boss and dying. And you kind of just like, you either keep going or you move on for a while and head back to it. But it is good. Like, you've got loads of different classes, and then they obviously have different weapons and stuff. Some of them are like melee focused, some of them are ranged. There was like a sniper in there who had like low health, but a really good aim.
Yeah, that's right. So they all had a proficiency with a particular weapon, didn't they? And as you said, that may have led to them having less health or more health or what have you, you know, being a little bit quicker, that sort of thing. It's got that sepia tone to it.
Yeah, it has. I just think it's a really good game, actually, and it's usually like a couple of quid on sale, isn't it?
It goes down to really cheap prices, yeah, and it's one of those where you could look at it and be forgiven for going, nah, that looks like it's going to be rubbish, just because you know, that look, the pixel style, it's very zoomed out, isn't it? There are so many games are 10 a penny these days, quite literally sometimes. Yeah, you'd be forgiven for moving right on past, but it's a great game. Very, very good game. My one that I'm going to mention, not the best by any stretch, but one that I did have a lot of fun with, and I think you enjoyed it as well, was the Battle Cats Unite.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, so it was like you kind of create new units, you know, like your energy builds up over time, and then you can build or buy more units to try and take down the enemy, and they're doing the same obviously on the other side of the screen. It's been out on mobile, I think, for yonks and yonks, and other people have said that the mobile version is better, you get more for your money, blah blah blah. Yeah, fair enough if you do. I don't know that because I've only played this one, but I had a lot of fun with it.
And it was easier on co-op.
Yes, like,
do you remember?
Substantially easier, because you could focus on a type of unit each, and you could have one person just pumping out like weak units that are going to get killed quick but buy you some time, where the other person's using more resources to build the big massive tanks or what have you. Yeah,
no, there were some really good co-op games this year, actually. There was a bunch of good ones. We recently played that Core Keeper game in online co-op. Yes. That was good fun, wasn't it?
That was good. That was a good game.
Nice. We're going to finish by just literally scrolling through our favourite game. There's basically a category and it's like, pick your favourite of the year. We're going to scroll through. We're just going to highlight a couple of hidden gems in there potentially.
Yeah, I mean, if we went through our most played, there'd be the obvious ones that were in our top 10 of the year, and it would be the same list again, basically. So watch that if you want to see the sort of games that, you know, chances are will be on this app. But as Mark said, picking out a couple of more hidden games that we've put some serious time into. I'll start then. My first one is Heidelberg 1693.
I remember that. That looked really nice. That's like a side scroller, wasn't it?
It was a side scrolling, yeah, like not a run and gun, but using like a musket, you know what I mean, and a sword. But yeah, it's tough. Like really difficult game. The caveat is obviously, as I said, you're using a musket, but you have to load it, and it takes a long time to load. It's like one hit, one shot, and obviously the enemies, whilst you're loading, are attacking you, and you could be killed. But by the same token, they have the same rules apply to them, and they have to reload too. So there is that element of strategy, and it whilst it slows the game down, not in a detrimental way.
Yeah.
It makes it like a thinking man's run and gun almost, you know. And I really enjoyed it. Very, very difficult. I died a bunch of times, but I did finish it, and yeah, really very happy I played it.
Lovely. Mine's Monolith. You probably don't remember this at all.
I don't think I do.
It was a point-and-click adventure game featuring
yeah.
a female protagonist who's like crash-landed on some rando planet.
Right.
I just said rando. I've been around my daughter too much.
Rando.
Oh my goodness. She keeps abbreviating everything, man. Like, what are you doing? Now I'm doing it. Oh my goodness. You're on this random planet, and it is proper old-school point-and-click. I really did enjoy it. Just the way it looked like hand-painted. It just, yeah, just for nostalgia reasons, like if you're after a good old point and click that is no nonsense,
Yeah.
I'd recommend Monolith, because I hadn't heard of it, to be honest.
Nice. My other one then is a game, again, we have spoken about this, it was in an interesting games, called Dead in Vinland.
Okay.
Which was really fun. Like, I bought it from PlayAsia, because I hadn't seen it before. It's on the eShop, and it goes on sale quite often, but I'd never heard of it. So I picked it up on a whim, and you're basically this family of Vikings, or set in the Viking times, who are attacked, and you escape your village, and you end up washing up ashore on this island, and you have to train up each family member to have particular skills. So it could be foraging, cooking, building, you know, shelter and whatnot, hunting, whatever. And as you get a little bit into the game, the story is that there's quite a brutal gang that are on this island.
Yeah.
And they want you to pay tribute to them every week or every.
Of course, why not?
Why not? And if you don't, it doesn't go well for you, you know. So you have this kind of time management of making sure you've got the resources on time. But there's also an actual battle system, a turn-based battle system, and as you get stronger, ultimately, I think you can take the gang on.
Okay.
And you find other survivors on the island that join your small community.
That's
Great,
cool.
really good game. Like, very hard to articulate in terms of how it works. Hopefully the footage is helping with that. But very good, and a very pleasant surprise.
Lovely. Right, I want to talk about a Highland Song.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one was in one of your upcoming games videos, and I was like, man, that just looks stunning.
Yeah.
You basically got this girl that goes on this adventure, but she's literally making her way across the fells, and it just does, the camera will like pan down as you come down, you like run across the water, you'd see like her reflection and stuff.
Right.
And it's very much like one of those, almost like walking simulator, I guess, where there's a narrator talking. Sometimes she'll be chatting away, but he's like narrating her adventure across this place, and it's set in Scotland. It just looks amazing. Like, it sounds incredible. And yeah, it's just one I think people might appreciate this, because it is kind of obscure, you know, a little hidden one. As far as gameplay goes, there isn't much. So it is very much just that running and skipping. It's that like free flowing nature of the movement. Yeah. You'll see it as soon as you see the trailer. You'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember that. But yeah, if you're after something a little bit different, and I do like my walking simulators. You know, I do like that kind of. They're like little, I don't know, little like bite-sized Stand By Me adventures.
They are.
You know, that's why I like them.
Yeah, they are. You're right.
So
nice.
Yeah, so that's that one.
Lovely. Yeah, good stuff. I mean, like we said, I'm sure your lists will look very different to ours, because most people just pick the big guns. And we have those on our list, don't get me wrong, but we have just done a series of 12 consecutive videos where a lot of those have been covered, and we just wanted to give ourselves a break from them, and you know, yourselves listening as well. But yeah, if you want a taste of what else is on here, chances are, then watch our Best Games of the Year video. Absolutely.
So let's do end by telling you our top 3 most played, because there might be people like, what was it? My number 1 most played was Monster Hunter Rise. My number 2 was actually my daughter's fault. is Stardew Valley.
Oh, yeah.
She's been playing it, you know, whenever I've clearly not got my Switch in my hand. And then my my third one was Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Lovely. I've got joint 1 and 2, and that's Balatro and Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, as we were just saying in the lists, I'm sure at some point. But third place was Vampire Survivors.
Nice.
So yeah, you can see some serious time sink games there.
Absolutely, yeah. Do let us know yours in the comments. As we say, we've got loads of those first party titles to give away, and we want to give them away.
For sure. Don't forget, if you're looking for eShop credit as well, to pick any games up, you can use our website, switchup.gg, and doing so will get you 5% of your purchase price back as cash back. We've also mentioned PlayAsia a couple of times, and once again, there is a link down there. If you want to import any games, just use the link, use the code stated, and you get yourself 5% off of your order from there too. A quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support. Take care, Happy New Year of course, and until next time, happy gaming.
And I'm going to say Happy New Year as well.
Nice.
I'm not going to say see ya.
Oh, there we go.
I'll say catch you next year.
Catch you next year, I like that.